Let's go straight to the Boss Firearms Hotline. That's where we're joined by Jay Bilas of ESPN, who's so kind to join us here on the program. Jay, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Well, good, man. Love to get your thoughts on this version of Buzz Williams A&M basketball team, a team that I think has more offensive firepower than we've seen the last couple of years, although the shooting is still kind of they struggle to shoot the three ball, my friend.
They actually struggle to shoot it everywhere.
Yeah.
They don't shoot free throws very well. They don't make twos at a high rate, and they don't make threes at a high rate. But what they do is defend. They play hard. They make the game chaotic, and they can still really offensive rebound. And that's why I think for the remainder of the season, it's really important for the Aggies to take care of the ball. I mean, if you get a shot every time down and you rebound it at a 42, 43% rate, whatever it is right now, that puts you in a pretty good position to be efficient when you don't shoot it well. But if you turn it over, that obviously puts your defense in a compromised position. But when you turn the ball over, it sounds simplistic, but you don't get a shot, which means you don't get a chance at an offensive rebound. You don't get a chance to get fouled, and those are three really good things for your offense. So I think ball security can help make up for some of the shooting deficiencies that Texas A&M has had.
Jay, if I would have told you that Wade Taylor's having a low number scoring this year, about 14.2, and I think in SEC play it's closer to 12. He's missed some time, and A&M would still be in this position. Would you have believed it before the season?
Yeah, I mean, getting Zurich Phelps in there gives them a guy who can attack the basket and score, even though he's not, when he was at SMU, wasn't an accurate perimeter shooter. But, yeah, it wouldn't have shocked me. I mean, I think, Buzz Williams teams over the years, he's had different teams when he's been either at Marquette or Virginia Tech or now Texas A&M, but he finds ways to win. I think Buzz is a great adjuster. So he's going to adjust the way they play and the way he doesn't think about how to play as much as he thinks about how the team's going to win. So, with the unit that he has, they play a particular style that's very effective. And, I know one thing, that when the game's over, when opponents play Texas A&M, when the game's over, they're like, I don't want to play those guys again. And that's a pretty good indicator that they're doing a lot of really good things.
Talking to Jay Bilas here on TexAgs Live. Jay, let's talk about the SEC overall. I forget your exact quote, but basically the SEC tournament, A&M is going to play all these great teams still yet to go. Like the end of their season is against a firing squad of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is what it feels like. Just talk about the depth of this SEC and how hard it is just to come away with a winning record, much less win the SEC as a conference.
Yeah, honestly, I've never seen anything like it. So, numbers don't always tell the story, but the SEC non-conference record was the last time there was a non-conference record by the league that strong was in the mid-'80s in the ACC. But it's not particularly comparable because the ACC had 8 teams back then. So did the Big 8 and all that. So the Big 10 had, can you imagine, the Big 10 had only 10 teams back then. But, this is a 16-team league. So you would expect with that many teams, you would have more teams that wouldn't be as good. But it's a remarkable conference, and especially relative to the rest of the country, like what the SEC did to the ACC in that ACC-SEC challenge. 14-2, that's unimaginable. It's an incredible number for the 16 games played, and in the 14 wins, the average margin of victory is 16 points. In the 2 losses that the SEC had, which just happened to be, Auburn lost to Duke and Kentucky lost to Clemson at Clemson, both those were away games. The average margin of loss was 3 points. And so you're talking about a dominant league. And, I think what I mentioned the other day at a Birmingham radio station was that, I think it's going to be a tougher challenge to win the SEC tournament championship than it would be to win in the NCAA tournament. It's not, I think when people hear that, if they're not SEC fans, they think, oh, you just said everybody else sucked. Like, no, I didn't. But if you think about it, an early round game in the SEC tournament is you're going to go against a better opponent than you would in an early round game in the NCAA tournament. And so winning that, and especially in that amount of time, is an incredible gauntlet. It doesn't mean that the Elite Eight in the NCAA tournament is going to be 8 SEC teams. Nobody's suggesting anything like that. But because everybody can certainly lose in a one-and-out scenario, because Houston's really good and Iowa State's really good, Duke's really good. There are a bunch of teams that are really good. But no other conference matches what the SEC has to go through. It'll just be interesting to see if some of the teams are beat up at the end of this, or maybe lack a little bit of confidence, or whether they take strength from it. And when they get against another opponent that they haven't seen before, they feel like they have an advantage. That'll be sort of an interesting thing league-wide to see how that shakes out.
Jay, I'm seeing a lot of comments on social media. What happened to Tennessee? But, they've lost, 3 or 4. But again, if you look at some of those losses, was Tuesday night against Kentucky. They had the Auburn loss and then the Vandy loss, all top 25 losses. And they also beat number 14 Mississippi State. So is Tennessee still one of those teams that you consider a Final Four contender?
Yes. I think they need to straighten out some things on the offensive end. They don't, their big guys are not as efficient scoring as they need to be, and they're not threats like they need to be, and I think they can be. But look, they lost by a bucket at Auburn, and they had a shot to win it at the end. So you get in a one-possession game in Neville, which is a difficult place to play against a great Auburn team. You can beat anybody. And, was I surprised that they launched as many threes as they did against Kentucky? A little bit. But, one of the things that I had mentioned at the beginning of SEC play was, you can go through, it's going to require some mental toughness to go through that schedule, that you can play well enough to beat 85, 90% of Division I and be on a 3-game losing streak in that league. So you'd better be able to, learn from a loss that you took and move on from it, not beat yourself up over it, because it's there's very much of an NBA type schedule that you're facing in the Southeastern Conference this year. It's totally different than it's been in years past. And, they've been building toward this. The league's been really good for a long time now, last several years, and it's been the best league, I think. But it's on a different level this year. I've never seen anything like this.
Jay, St. John's obviously a very proud basketball program. When Chris Mullen got there, 10 years ago, and Mike Anderson, now Rick Pitino. Talk about the job that Rick has done these last couple of years in making them one of those national names once again.
Which program are you talking about now?
St. John's?
Oh, St. John's.
Yes, sir.
We're shooting out of the SEC. Yeah, Rick Pitino's done a really good job there. They've brought in some good transfers. They've got a terrific point guard, Kaderi Richmond. They got Zuby Ejiofor, came in from Kansas. And then R.J. Lewis is a really good wing. So they've got quality at every position. And Rick's teams traditionally have always played really good defense. Like, he'll put up with some shots he doesn't like as long as you play your rear end off on defense. And they do that. So they're very, very good. And the Big East is kind of an underrated basketball league. There are a lot of slugfests and rock fights in that league. And there are teams that can slow tempo down. There's certainly teams that can speed it up with, Marquette and Creighton that run really, really good offense. But that's a really good league, and I'm not surprised Rick has done that. He's done it everywhere he's been.
Jay, are you enjoying doing NBA games as well?
I love it. Yeah, the NBA. Not surprising. It's a better game. It's the rules are better. Generally, it's officiated better. It's just a better game. But I've always loved college. I love I love all kinds of basketball. I watch FIBA. I watch European Pro League stuff because they're so creative with offense. I still watch a fair amount of high school basketball. I don't watch as much as I used to because I just don't have the time for it. But yeah, it'd be the equivalent of college football fans saying, "Well, I don't like the NFL." I can't imagine if you love football, how can you not like the NFL? And if you love basketball, you see so much. There's so many amazing players and plays and schemes and defensive schemes and all that in the NBA. It's a fabulous game.
Jay, I appreciate your time, man. Thanks for making some time after a flight. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.